So let's review. We started off with some pre-cut squares. And you can either buy them already pre-cut or you can make them. I've done both. But we started off with our squares. We sewed them together to make strips. And then we put 3 strips together to make a square. All right. Then we put our square, our 9 patch, onto, we made a sandwich called the quilt sandwich. We have a piece of muslin, we have a piece of batting, and then we have our square. And we just sewed along each of our lines. Now the next step. So you have got a stack of these, and now we need to get them ready for the next step. So here we go. So one of the most important steps that you can do is squaring up your square, making sure that all of your squares are the same size. And this can be done many ways. If you're a beginner and you don't have all the little tools and everything else, then you probably just kind of want to measure it and make sure that all your squares are the same. But let me show you what I do. And I do have some of the tricks. This is a wonderful tool. I got it from Amazon. And it is wonderful. And you see how we've got our little our diagonal. And that's part of how we're going to square it up. So we want to make sure that this line goes through the corners. Okay? And this should be a 12-inch square. So we've got our 12 inches. I've got my 12 inches there, 12 inches here. I'm going to take my rotary cutter. Now, if you don't happen to have these items, there are other ways to do it. So if you see here, I'm going to put it, that's how you're wanting to do it. So that these lines go through the corners. And then right here, there's the 12-inch mark, 12 inches. Okay. See how the line of the fabric goes right there to the 12-inch mark. And down to here, to the 12-inch mark. So we've got a 12-inch square, and the lines go through the corners, and then you just take your cutter and trim it. This can be done with a pair of scissors. Inches and 12 inches. Okay, right nicely through the corners. Alright, so now you've got a nice square. And you're saying, what now? Great, I have this nice little square. What now? Now you need a piece of 1-inch ribbon or a piece of 1-inch fabric. And it doesn't matter. If you are able to make a 1-inch cut of fabric, then do so. If you don't, you're kind of worried about your cutting, or you don't, you know, whatever. Don't have the mat, don't have the rotary, and trying to hand cut with scissors a nice straight line of 1 inch is take a lot of patience. So you can just pick up a spool of 1-inch ribbon, and that will work just fine. Okay, so we've got our squares. We have them cut out. We have a ribbon, a 1-inch ribbon or a 1-inch strip of fabric. And now we're ready for the next step. Here we go. Alright, so this is the square that we made out of our pre-cut fabric that we purchased. And I had this fabric at home, and I just made a 1-inch strip. Just a nice 1-inch strip. And we are going to just pin that to here. Just along one side. It doesn't matter which side because it's a square and it's the same size on each side. Alright, let's take it to the machine. For this step, it is very important that you have a 1/4 inch seam. Because we're going to have the 1/4 inch seam, and then it's going to fold over, and we're going to sew this to the other one. So let me show you. So I'm going to move my needle to the middle position. Straight stitching. So we're just going to use this, the side of our presser foot, the plain basic old presser foot, as our guide. And with our needle in the center, this should give us a 1/4 inch seam. So let's press it down, lower our foot, a couple stitches in, and go backwards just to solidify the stitches. And carefully, remember it's not a race. You can see I'm kind of drifting over, so I need to straighten back up again. When we get done with this, we are going to get our other square. Okay, so let's get our other square. It's matching this one. And let's pin our 1-inch strip. Okay. And it will be easier to do if we press this. So, but I just wanted to show you, this is what we're going to do. And this is why it would be better if we pressed it. And then when we get done, we can press it that way. If you're comfortable without pressing it, go for it. So let's just pin that. And I'm probably pinning it more than I have to, but better to be safe than sorry. Alright, so again, very important, we have our 1/4 inch seam. So we're going to bring this in, but we are going to attach our 2 quilted squares together. I have done a big old quilt on my machine, and it is not the easiest thing in the world. Very cumbersome. And takes up a lot of space. So if you don't have space, if this is just you messing around and playing, this is a nice way of learning to see if it's something you'd like to do. personally, I cannot imagine a day without my sewing machine. It makes me happy. I'm not all that great at it, but I enjoy it. So now let's go press this, and then we'll take a look at the finished product. So, we have got our 1-inch ribbon or 1-inch piece of fabric in between, and this is what we've got. Just keep adding on as much as you want, and then just put it back on and bind it, and you should be good to go. I want to show you another variation. Just some scrap fabrics that I had. 4.5-inch squares that I cut out, and I just kind of put them together, and then I used a purple in between. And then I can just keep on adding to this until I have a nice scrap blanket, scrap quilt. I don't know about anyone else, but if we go on a trip with my kids, I don't care how warm I am up front. The sun coming, through the glass on my legs and different things. Middle of the summer, and I'm sweating. Well, my kids are going to say they're cold. So we always need to have little lap blankets. And in this variation, I put a border around my 9 patch and then quilted around it. Again, we'll put a backing on it and then get a binding, and we'll be good to go. So let me know what you make and send us pictures. I'd love to know if I've maybe inspired a non-sewer to pick up needle and see what you can come up with. Precuts, you can buy them or you can make them, but either way you can make things out of them. And this is not the only thing you can do. So be sure to come back and we'll look at some more options that you've got for your precuts.